Alright, guys. Okay, so what we're going to do, in case you were wondering, we're going to get politics for the next hour and a half. I am streaming on 2 different platforms right now. I'm not sure if that breaks TOS or not. But I'm going to keep playing Imperium because I'm playing that and I'm streaming that on Twitch. But I'm also going to go through and we're going to watch the State of the Union address and we're going to talk about it. And that has also been streamed on YouTube through a different connection. Well, through the same connection but different PC. I'm literally streaming 2 different services at the same time for the same video. Don't ask me why I'm doing it this way, I just am. But yeah, obviously guys, people on the politics channel wanted to sit down and watch the State of the Union address with me. And I want to keep playing Imperium, so we're going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I hope the guys that watch Imperium don't mind. If you have any comments, feel free to chime in while we're watching it. I don't care what your politics are. It's just, yeah. It's just, I promised the subs I'll do it, so I'm going to do it. And I'm a man of my word. So, yeah. That said, apart from that, we'll give it about 5 minutes, get everybody in here, and streambot running. Cool. No worries. But yeah, we'll go through and we'll get this 5 minutes, we'll get up and running, and we'll kick it off. So just let me get a drink. Alright, guys. Alright, let's jump into this. Let's kick this off because it's an hour and a half and I've only got a glass of Coke left before I have to go and buy more. So let's kick it off. Hey Lee, how are ya? Alright, so just to recap, and what's this? You have nothing in the inventory but you've got a base? Yeah, no, just building stuff. Just started off. Hey, concrete's easy to make, bro. So what we're going to do, Lee, and everybody who's just joining us, we are streaming both on Twitch and YouTube at the moment. We're going to keep going with Imperium. We're going to keep building the base, and we're going to watch the State of the Union address. Now, this is going out on both YouTube and on Twitch. I hope you guys in Imperium who are watching don't mind. I promised the subs that I'd sit down with them on this Sunday night and watch it. So, yeah, I'm dying in the meantime. I know, I'm going to die soon. But apart from that, yeah. So let's kick it off and let's respawn. And we're going to skip to about there.
The joint session will come to order. The chair appoints as members of the committee on the part of the House to escort the President of the United States into the chamber. The gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Hoyer. The gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Clyburn. The gentleman from New Mexico, Mr. Lujan. The gentleman from New York, Mr. Jeffries. The gentlewoman from Massachusetts, Ms. Clark. The gentlewoman from Illinois, Mrs. Bustos. The gentlewoman from California, Ms. Chute. The gentlewoman from Kansas, Ms. Davids. The gentlewoman from New Mexico, Ms. Holland. The gentleman from California, Mr. McCarthy. The gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Scalise. The gentlewoman from Wyoming, Ms. Cheney. The gentleman from Minnesota, Mr. Emmer. The gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Palmer. The gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Walker. The gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Smith. The gentleman from Texas, Mr. Brady. The gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. Cole.
Okay, is it just me, or does she sound
President
drunk?
of the Senate, at the direction
She
of that
does
body,
sound
appoints
drunk,
the following
right?
senators as members of the committee on the part of the Senate to escort the President of the United States in the House chamber. The senator from Kentucky, Mr. McConnell. The senator from South Dakota, Mr. Thune. The senator from Iowa, Mr. Grassley. The senator from Wyoming, Mr. Barrasso. The senator from Iowa, Ms. Ernst. The senator from Missouri, Mr. Blunt. The senator from Indiana, Mr. Young. The senator from New York, Mr. Schumer. The senator from Illinois, Mr. Durbin. The senator from Wisconsin, Ms. Baldwin. The senator from Maryland, Mr. Cardin. The senator from New Hampshire, Mrs. Shaheen. And the senator from Delaware, Mr. Coons.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The members of the escort committees will exit the chamber through the Speaker's lobby doors.
Alright, we'll fill that in when we get a chance. Okay. Right, so...
Madam Speaker, the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps.
Just waiting for everything, the proceedings to get underway, guys. I do get what people mean when they say she sounds drunk. She does, doesn't she? It's sort of like that slurring the words. It's like my uncle used to talk. It's a bit like this. So obviously that's an exaggeration to the point, but yeah, you sort of do get what they mean when they say that she sounds drunk. Like, yeah. Everybody has a drunk uncle, don't they? Everybody can relate to a drunken uncle story. I'm gonna fast forward this, guys, because they're taking way too long to get their shit organised. I was kind of hoping it was faster than this, but I should have guessed when it was a minute 46 and the rest were like a minute 12. It's funny watching Pence and Pelosi talk. There's a body language person on the channel. She does the channel body language, right? And she goes through and she analyzes these two when they're chatting and when they're talking. And it's just, it's funny because like Pelosi's sitting there like making small conversation, and like Pence is just being polite. It's just like, yeah, you tried to impeach our boy, just go away. He's just like, yep, yeah. Drunken uncles are a lot of fun, Lee. Definitely a lot
Madam
of fun.
Speaker, the President of the United States.
So who's that? That's obviously it's Trump at the front. I don't know who the guy behind him is. Actually, I don't know much of the other two Channel 3 gentlemen, actually, to be honest, but I know obviously Trump, but... Ah, okay. Let's see... So I'm going to turn this down, and that should turn me up, naturally. So that should be better. Let me know if that's better, Leah. Boy, this is confusing. I've got Leah on one screen and Leah on the other screen. Wow. I better make sure I get those names right. So is that any better there, Leah? Can you hear me now? What about you guys on Twitch? Can you hear me better too? Steve Solis, maybe. Definitely maybe. At the end of the day, the one we really care about is Trump, though, isn't it? Cool. Cool, cool, cool.
Members of Congress, the President of the United States.
Okay, so that's the problem a lot of people have, right? A lot of people are going on about her not using the traditional introduction for Trump. Normally they would say things... Cool. Thank you, Lee. People would normally, when they're introducing the president for the SOTU Address, they would say things like, for example, it's my esteemed pleasure to introduce the President of the United States. She just simply said, what'd she say? It's introducing president? What'd she say again? Just introducing the president, was it?
Members of Congress, the President of the United States.
So she's just gone with members of Congress, the President of the United States. She hasn't done any of the sort of... I suppose you want a word for it. It's probably ass-kissery, for lack of a better word. But, you know, obviously it's normally my great honor to introduce the president, blah, blah, blah. You know, there's a formal thing when you're introducing POTUS. She obviously hasn't done any of that. She has just gone through, and to me Trump is fun. And she's just gone through and she's just done the usual, you know, the President of the United States, you know. Obviously, look, there's no love lost between her and Pelosi. We know that. She's obviously just tried to impeach him. That obviously hasn't gone down well. So at the moment, she's probably not very popular among her own people. So at the end of the day, she's probably... She gives his title, but not his name. Exactly. So at the end of the day, look, you know, look, there's probably no love lost. And to be honest... would it been better her using his official name and title and the embellishments like of it's my great honor or whatever it may be? Sure. But I find it really funny how people don't care about that, but they care about him snubbing her with the handshake. It's like, well, they're both as bad as each other, technically, right? Let's be honest here. He is a bit of a brat. He's a bit of a troll. It's, you know, half the reason why we love him. And she's also very despiteful. I'm not surprised there's no love lost between the two of them, to be honest. So, yeah, I don't know. Look, at the end of the day, if you have a problem with him not shaking her hand, then you've got to have a problem with the way that she's also introduced him. If you care about one, you got to care about the other because it's both the same. It really, really is. So I'm not upset about either. He makes me laugh when he's funny racial jokes. Wow. I don't think his jokes are that racist though. But anyway. They're literally chanting 4 more years. Oh, that's gotta add insult to injury. She's a ticked off who's losing power rapidly. That's true. I would say, yeah, she is. I would be very surprised if she's in that position 4 years from now.
Madam Speaker,
But that said,
Mr.
you
Vice
know,
President,
I said the
members
same
of
thing when
Congress,
last time she just barely
First
won the
Lady of the
election, didn't
United
I? So,
States. And my fellow citizens, 3 years ago, we launched the Great American Comeback. Tonight, I stand before you to share the incredible results. Jobs are booming, incomes are soaring, poverty is plummeting, crime is falling, confidence is surging, and our country is thriving and highly respected again. America's enemies are on the run. America's fortunes are on the rise, and America's future is blazing bright. The years of economic decay are over. The days of our country being used, taken advantage of, and even scorned by other nations are long behind us.
I know a lot of people want to, especially on the left, they want to go through and they want to push this narrative that the enemies of Trump, the other world leaders, the other foreign powers, don't want to work with America now because of this, you know, because Trump's in power and all this sort of narrative that they're trying to push. But the fact is that if you ever want proof of the opposite of that, you just have to look with what happened with Julian Assange, right? You literally have Sweden going through and making up a fake case, and let's be honest, let's call it for what it is, it's a fake case. They've gone through and made a fake case so that they can hold him until the US extradites him back to the US. Now, whether you're a fan of Assange or not, it's, you know, personal choice. I quite like the guy. Plus, his mum follows me on Twitter. But at the end of the day, the facts of the facts is that you have the UK government and also Sweden literally bending over backwards trying to detain this guy for the Yanks or for the Americans, right? So if these other world leaders were not wanting to work with America as much as some of the people on the left would like to proclaim, why is it that Assange is currently in a UK cell right now? Why is it that at the end of the day that he's not still living in an Ecuadorian embassy? Why did Ecuador kick him out? If the US is so unpopular to work with, why is it that that Assange is behind bars? And that to me sort of is, you know, proof that that's a lot of crap. Because at the end of the day, if you're unpopular to work with, I have a boss at work, right? And due to popular disbelief, I don't care about it, right? The opposite of loving someone or hating someone is not caring, and that's literally me at this point, right? But the other people at work don't necessarily want to work with them. I'm not mentioning names, right? It's not important. They don't want to work with her because they hate her, because they don't want to work with her. If someone hates working with you, they're not going to bend over backwards to help you. And it's the same with the guys at work. They don't bend over backwards to work with this woman because they hate her. And it makes sense, right? So when the left sits there and goes, everybody hates us, nobody wants to work with us anymore, my case in point would be, really, Assange? Right, now, don't get me wrong. I really don't like the fact that Trump is going after Assange, right? I think Assange should be given the Medal of Freedom, set loose, and be able to do whatever he wants to do with his WikiLeaks. Because he goes for both sides, left or right. He just puts out information. And at the end of the day, I really don't like the Trump administration going after journalists. That at all. But that said, you know, it's like, well, you can't say that you're not working with others and then going through and claiming that, oh my god, wait, all these other foreign powers are now working with us to get Assange. It's like you can't have one or the other. It's one or the it's both of them or it's none of them. You can't have one or the other. Yeah. English. Flightus.
On to the broken promises, jobless recoveries, tired platitudes, and constant excuses for the depletion of American wealth, power,
He says
and
on
prestige.
Twitter.
Just three short years.
He reminds me of a grandpa that says very funny
the
things. He does. He does.
American decline.
And hopefully we'll have some of
And
those
we
funny
have
things
rejected
tonight.
the downsizing of Americans' destiny. We have totally rejected the downsizing. We're moving forward at a pace that was unimaginable just a short time ago, and we are never, ever going back.
That's definitely a dig at someone.
I am thrilled to report to you tonight that our economy is the best it has ever been. Our military is completely rebuilt, with its power being unmatched.
Okay, so let's talk about that, right? Trump says there the economy is the best it's ever been. And the left, in their wisdom, decide to fact-check that statement, right? And they found that in the 1940s, the economy was slightly better than it is now. So therefore, Trump's a liar. It's like, you know, if you got to go back to the 1940s or 1950s to sort of prove a point that, you know, the economy is not so well, that at one point it was better than what it is currently, you might have lost the bigger picture. I'm just saying that, you know, at the end of the day, maybe if you can sort of, you have to go back that far, you'll sit there and think, you know, whether you like him, whether you hate him, who cares? At the end of the day, at least he seems to be doing a good job from the economy. And considering when he first was running that he was going to crash the economy and send the US into a recession, well, that hasn't happened either, has it? So, you know. I've got so many windows open.
Anywhere in the world, and it's not even close. Our borders are secure. Our families are flourishing. Our values are renewed. Our pride is restored. And for all of these reasons, I say to the people of our great country and to the members of Congress, the state of our union is stronger than ever before. The vision I will lay out this evening demonstrates how we are building the world's most prosperous and inclusive society, one where every citizen can join in America's unparalleled success, and where every community can take part in America's extraordinary rise. From the instant I took office, I moved rapidly to revive the U.S. economy, slashing a record number of job-killing regulations, enacting historic and record-setting tax cuts, and fighting for fair and reciprocal trade agreements. Our agenda is relentlessly pro-worker, pro-family, pro-growth, and most of all, pro-American.
Lee says in Twitter, sorry, not Twitter, Twitch, she sees him as any other president. Pretty much. Look, at the end of the day, let's face it, he's going to embellish the things that he's done right, and he's going to downplay the things that he's done wrong. For the most part, you guys in America are pretty good. You are definitely a lot better off than some of us over here in Australia, that's for sure. So, yeah. And we know he's going to embellish the things he does right. We know he's going to downplay the things he does wrong. But at the end of the day, a guy. Yeah, pretty much. That's what he is. We could get into the whole deep state, anti-establishment discussion, but that's a very long conversation for another time. But yeah, generally I think he's doing a pretty good job considering the shit that he's had to put up with. With all the attacks in the media, the Democrats literally trying to stop him once they took House again. He's literally had to fight tooth and nail to get anything done. And considering what he's got done and having to fight for that every step of the way, every step of the way, I think he's done an amazing job because of that challenge of having to overcome, he's had to overcome impeachment, attempted impeachment. He's had to overcome the Russian narrative, the deep state, people literally saying from day one, we're going to impeach him. Like this whole just challenges that he's had to have that no other president that I know of or that I can think of right now has had to have so many challenges put in front of him. And not only that, but with those challenges put in front of him, he's also managed to do stuff. Like, for example, Obama never had the scoring that Trump has had from the media, for example, right? Yeah, the administration, the media was harsh on Obama sometimes, but not to the point of what Trump's had to put up with. And for him to have done what he's done while fighting them as well, that to me that's impressive. That shows character. That he can not only get shit done, but he can do it in the worst possible situation. It makes me think what the Republicans are going to do when they retake the House in 2020, because chances are they probably are going to. Especially after with Nancy ripping up the speech towards the end, and with everything that the Democrats have been doing lately, they're not going to win the House back, I don't think. But we'll have to wait to see, but we'll see what happens.
Thank you. We are advancing with unbridled optimism and lifting our...
So I just want to reiterate what Leah is saying here. He's done a lot for our country, in spite of our having to fight for his life, going on since before. Exactly right. That's what I was getting at, and you summed it up really, really well there. Him having to fight and done what he's done while having to fight makes me wonder what he could have done without having to fight tooth and nail. He's already had business connections before he became president. That's true, he has. And Lee, that's also one of the reasons why I reckon your economy is doing really well, is because he is a businessman. Let's face it, okay, I know people hate this analogy, but a country, it's a business. Money comes in, money comes out. It's just a business on a bigger scale. If you want your country to run really, really well, you get a businessman to run it. You mightn't like that idea, but the fact is that. So, yeah. But let's keep going.
Our citizens of every race, color, religion, and creed very, very high. Since my election, we have created 7 million new jobs, 5 million more than government experts projected during the previous administration.
I had to laugh. Mainstream media fact-checked that. And their results were, he lied. He hasn't created 7 million jobs. He's made 6.7 million jobs instead. It's like, oh my freaking God, are you serious? You are really worrying about 0.3 of a million jobs Like that's some serious derangement syndrome. That is some really like people round up. It's called rounding up. Okay. Like, did he technically lie? Sure. Technically he lied. Technically he made 6.7 instead of 7 million. Like, but like for friggin', oh my god, are we really going to split hairs that much about 0.3 of a million jobs? So yeah.
Rachel. The unemployment rate is the lowest in over half a century.
They had to admit that one.
And very incredibly, the average unemployment rate under my administration is lower than any administration in the history of our country.
Leah says in chat, and that's in YouTube, and that's the best they could come up with? Lol. Yeah, pretty much. That's the best they could pretty much come up with, was the fact that he lied! It was only 6.7 million instead of 7 million jobs. And that we'll just totally ignore the fact that he's made 6.7 million jobs for the country. We won't worry about that. We'll rake him over that 0.3 of a million jobs that he didn't make that he claimed that he did. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Where's that
If we
fridge
hadn't
gone?
reversed the failed economic policies
I
of
had
the
a
previous
fridge.
administration, the world would not now be witnessing this great economic success.
I thought I made a fridge.
The unemployment rate for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans has reached the lowest levels in history. African American youth unemployment has reached an all-time low. African American poverty has declined to the lowest rate ever recorded. The unemployment rate for women reached the lowest level in almost 70 years, and last year women filled 72% of all new jobs added. The veterans' unemployment rate dropped to a record low. The unemployment rate for disabled Americans has reached an all-time low. Workers without a high school diploma have achieved the lowest unemployment rate recorded in U.S. history.
Doxers and Twitch. I always get Twitter and Twitch mixed up. It's the dyslexic in me. I'm not for either party. I just let the guy do his job. Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty much what we... Yeah, exactly. I understand you have to have some debate, but what they're doing to this guy is another level. Yeah, well, we could get into the reason for that, but that would probably get me banned off Twitter. Twitch and Twitter. Probably both.
A record number of young Americans are now employed. Under the last administration, more than 10 million people were added to the food stamp rolls. under my administration, 7 million Americans have come off food stamps and 10 million people have been lifted off of welfare. In 8 years under the last administration, over 300,000 working-age people dropped out of the workforce. In just 3 years of my administration, 3.5 million people, working-age people, have joined the workforce.
So far, look, I know a lot of people claim that Trump lies and embellishes and stuff like that. So far, everything he has said has been in the ballpark. Like I say, to be honest, the jobs, it was 6.7 million instead of 7. You know, like for example, the economy, it's the best it's been in like 50 years. I think there was a better situation where it was better back in the 1940s or 50s or something like that. But generally what he is saying is generally pretty accurate. It's slight embellishments. It's like, like for example, mates, they go, I've got the biggest house, for example, right? And that's what it's basically is that the nitpicking that the media wants to claim that Trump lies, and it's nitpicking. It's, it's little things like, for example, 7 million jobs instead of 6.7 million. It's fiddly, pissy little things. And the crux of what he is saying there is true. The US has a stronger economy now than it did under Obama. Now, obviously, you can always argue that that was Bush that ruined the economy and Obama inherited it. Whatever it may be, I don't care. I really don't care. If that's the case, then, that obviously, look, I don't like Bush. I think Bush is a dick. Both senior and junior. But at the end of the day, you also got to remember too, Obama did pull the US out of a recession. Most people don't like that idea, but he did. At the end of the day, whether you vote left or right, or you're a centrist like me, whatever it may be, yes, I'm a dirty centrist, then at the end of the day, you got to admit, Trump's done some good stuff, Obama did some good stuff, Trump's done some bad stuff, Julian Assange, Obama did some bad stuff, drone striking half the Middle East. But at the end of the day, the fact is that they both have got their pros and their cons. So, yeah. But anyway, let's keep going.
Since my election, the net worth of the bottom half of wage earners has increased by 47%, 3 times faster than the increase for the top 1%. After decades of flat and falling incomes, wages are rising fast, and wonderfully, they are rising fastest for low-income workers who have seen.
So Leah in chat says that it's just his personality. He didn't just become that way when he became POTUS. Exactly, right? I don't want to say it's guys syndrome, because there's enough shitting on men, and especially in this day and age. But at the end of the day, it's guy talk. It's locker room talk, right? It's like guys talking about the size of their Johnsons, for example, right? I'll tell you now, half the guys out there that reckon they got this really big, girls, full of shit. I'm gonna die again. They're full of shit, and it's that good old adage of, I've got bigger stuff than you. I've got the best stuff than you. It's that ego sort of stuff. And the reason when Trump is like that is the reason why he's good at negotiating. But anybody in either Twitter, Twitch, or YouTube, tell me, would anybody like to negotiate Trump and think you'll walk away with a good deal? Or do you think that you might get totally owned in negotiations? I'll tell you now, to be honest, I would totally get owned. The guy would be a freaking force to reckon with when it comes to negotiating. It'd be fun, but I'd still get freaking owned. So, you know. Thanks, Leah.
A 16% pay increase since my election. This is a blue-collar boom. Real median household income is now at the highest level ever.
Leah, it says in YouTube chat, hell no, I'd lose my shirt. Oh yeah. You'd walk away probably losing more than your shirt too, but yeah. But it would be fun to go up against him though, wouldn't it? Just to see.
Since my election, U.S. stock markets have soared 70%, adding more than $12 trillion to our nation's wealth, transcending anything anyone believed was possible. This is a record. It is something that every country in the world is looking up to, they admire.
That's true.
Consumer confidence has just reached amazing new highs. All of those millions of people.
He's the man we need right now. That is true, Lee. That is definitely Leah.
Than they have ever done before, with increases of 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100% and even more. Jobs and investments are pouring into not.
Trump is what you get when you have social justice warriors. Trump is the culture correcting itself. You've had the pendulum swinging way too far to the left as of late. You know, like with all this stuff that goes on over in the US, and not only the US but in Australia and everywhere else. And Trump is the knee-jerk reaction, if you want to claim it's that, to people course correcting. You know, turning the ship around was a meme that was going around when he was running. It's not actually a meme. That's what it was. You know, at the end of the day, it literally was the US turning around saying, this is shit, what we've had for all this politics, all this culture shit that we've had to put up with all this time. It's crap. And we want to fix it. And we're going to do it by electing the guy that we see as brutish, childish to a certain point, and to a certain point also, you know, arrogant and ego. And we're going to throw the coffee table over. And hopefully when we throw the coffee table over, you know, the establishment, the shit that goes with it will go away as well. And so far, it's gone off without a hitch, I would say, for the culture war. I would say everything that people wanted has come true. The people that have lost, well, they haven't really been getting... All politicians seek attention. That's true. Very true. But yeah, but at the end of the day, I would say it's definitely he's a course correction. Yeah, I've lost my base. Where is it? You there somewhere? Okay, so building inside of a mountain might have seemed like a really good idea at the time, until you can't find your base anymore because it blends in. But anyway.
9,000 previously neglected neighborhoods, thanks to Opportunity Zones, a plan spearheaded by Senator Tim Scott as part of our great Republican tax cuts. In other words, wealthy people and companies are pouring money into poor neighborhoods or areas that haven't seen investment in many decades, creating jobs, energy, and excitement. This is the first time that these deserving communities have seen anything like this. It's all working. Opportunity zones are helping Americans like Army veteran Tony Rankins from Cincinnati, Ohio. After struggling with drug addiction, Tony lost his job, his house, and his family. He was homeless. But then Tony found a construction company that invests in opportunity zones. He is now a top tradesman, drug-free, reunited with his family, and he is here tonight. Tony, keep up the great work, Tony.
Lee over in Twitch, I got it right that time. I'm thinking about starting a new single player. You can join us, Hannah, if you want. Add me on Steam as a friend, gamers_caf. Add me, let me know you've added me. I'll accept, and you can jump in and you can play with us if you like. So, yeah. Aha! Found it! Found the base.
Thank you, Tony. Our roaring economy has, for the first time ever, given many former prisoners the ability to get a great job and a fresh start. This second chance at life is made possible because we passed landmark criminal justice reform into law. Everybody said that criminal justice reform couldn't be done, but I got it done, and the people in this room got it done. Thanks to our bold regulatory reduction campaign, the United States has become the #1 producer of oil and natural gas anywhere in the world, by far. With the tremendous progress we have made over the past 3 years, America is now energy independent, and energy jobs, like so many other elements of our country, are at a record high. We are doing numbers that no one would have thought possible just 3 years ago. Likewise, we are restoring our nation's manufacturing might, even though predictions were, as you all know, that this could never, ever be done. After losing 60,000 factories under the previous 2 administrations, America has now gained 12,000 new factories under my administration, with thousands upon thousands of plants and factories being planned or being built.
Okay, I know that's cheating, but I'm sorry, I can't find the hole. And that sounds really, really bad when I say it.
Companies are not leaving. They are coming back to the USA. The fact is that everybody wants to be where the action is, and the United States of America is indeed the place where the action is. One of the biggest promises I made to the American people was to replace the disastrous NAFTA trade deal.
So, Leah says in chat, I think our country, as well as a large part of the whole world, are about to take a hard right. I would definitely agree with going more right. I don't know if it's going to be a hard right, but yeah. Things got way too far left balance. Yeah, it's that. It's the pendulum swimming the other way. Yeah, you just have to look at, like even... even feminists now, or TERFs, the feminists that believe about transgender, even they're considered full of misogyny now. Yep, radical feminists that are misogynist, but what? They're transphobic? What? It's just, I don't want to get into too much of the details because, you know, Twitch. I like my Twitch channel. But it's like, yeah, it's like, this is not a winning argument. You know, like, yeah, but anyway. I gotta find the hole again. Jesus Christ. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put solar panels on the front of my door so that way I can find it in a hurry. Because I spent half of the time looking for the frigging... I even made like a ledge, but the problem is that it mixes in with the rest of it and you can't tell.
In fact, unfair trade is perhaps the single biggest reason that I decided to run for president. Following NAFTA's adoption, our nation lost 1 in 4 manufacturing jobs. Many politicians came and went pledging to change or replace NAFTA, only to do so, and then absolutely nothing happened. But unlike so many who came before me, I keep my promises. We did our job.
That part's true. Whether you like him or not, he's definitely kept his election promises, for the most part. There's a couple that he hasn't, but most of them he has.
6 days ago, I replaced NAFTA and signed the brand new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement into law. The USMCA will create nearly 100,000 new high-paying American auto jobs and massively boost exports for our farmers, ranchers, and factory workers. It will also bring trade with Mexico and Canada to a much higher level, but also to be a much greater degree of fairness and reciprocity. We will have that fairness and reciprocity, and I say that finally because it's been many, many years that we were treated fairly on trade.
Found it.
This is the first major trade deal in many years to earn the strong backing of America's labor unions. I also promised our citizens that I would impose tariffs to confront China's massive theft of America's jobs. Our strategy has worked. Days ago, we signed the groundbreaking new agreement with China that will defend our workers, protect our intellectual property, bring billions and billions of dollars into our treasury, and open vast new markets for products made and grown right here in the USA. For decades, China has taken advantage of the United States. Now we have changed that. But at the same time, we have perhaps the best relationship we've ever had with China, including with President Xi. They respect what we've done because, quite frankly, they could never really believe that they were able to get away with what they were doing year after year, decade after decade, without someone in our country stepping up and saying, that's enough.
Hey, Larry, how are you, buddy? So, Les, what we're doing, buddy, is we're playing Imperium, and we're streaming that on Twitch. But while we're doing that, we're also watching the State of the Union address. We're about 20 minutes into it. We got about an hour left. Strap in, get a drink, enjoy yourself, enjoy a little bit of gameplay while we also listen to Trump. And we're sort of just fact-checking a little bit here and there and sort of just commenting on things that he says. So, guys, if you have any questions, any comments, any at all, feel free to post them in chat, either chat and obviously we'll talk about it. It's basically just me spending the night playing games and talking to you guys. So feel free to comment on anything you guys like or don't like, including my cat. who won't shut up because it's raining outside and he wants to go out and pee.
Now we want to rebuild our country, and that's exactly what we're doing. We are rebuilding our country. As we restore American
Hey, Larry, how are
leadership
you,
throughout
bud?
the
You
world,
good, man?
we are once again standing up for freedom. in
Good of
our
you to join us,
hemisphere.
man. Good of you to join us.
That's why my administration reversed the failing policies of the previous administration on Cuba. We are supporting the hopes of Cubans, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans to restore democracy. The United States is leading a 59-nation diplomatic coalition against the socialist dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro.
We'll talk about Venezuela in a bit, guys. I want to wait for him to introduce the other guy first.
Maduro is an illegitimate ruler, a tyrant who brutalizes his people, but Maduro's grip on tyranny will be smashed and broken. Here this evening is a very brave man who carries with him the hopes, dreams, and aspirations of all Venezuelans. Joining us in the gallery is the true and legitimate president of Venezuela, Juan Guaido. Mr. President, please take this message back to your homeland.
So, okay. First thing, Lion is saying in chat that cigars. Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen with cigars. I wonder if you're going to be able to bring them into the US now, because there was sort of a unwritten rule that it was against the policies. So I wonder what's going to happen with that. Look, obviously we'll have to wait to see what happens with Trump's plan when it comes to, obviously, this New Mexico deal. We'll just have to wait to see who's the beneficiary out of it, whether it's America or Mexico or both. I haven't read the trade agreement myself. I'm sorry, there's not enough alcohol in the world for me to read that. But yeah, at the end of the day, from what I've heard, it seems pretty good. It seems like it's in America's interests. And if you're American, that's what really, really counts. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's the outcome of it. But at the moment, it seems like it's a pretty good deal. Seems like everybody sort of wins, and it's more fair and balanced. But like I say, we'll have to wait to see. As for this president that he introduced him here, he is the rival to Maduro. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Maduro is a, you know what, yeah, he's a dictator. He's living in 5-star luxury while Venezuelans are literally starving, eating rats and God knows what. I don't like Maduro. But my understanding is this guy here, I don't know if he's any better. And that's obviously, at the end of the day, the US is showing their support behind him because obviously he's more likely to play ball with the Yanks, right? And that's what America does. America will go through and will support presidents or dictators or leaders or whatever it may be, who obviously will have their interest at heart. And you can't blame them for that, right? They're a country, they got to do their thing. But from what I've heard, this guy's pretty socialist as well. So, yeah, I want to look into him a little bit more. But as far as I know, he's just as bad. So, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know if he's going to restore capitalism to Venezuela or whatever it may be. My understanding from what I've heard is probably not. Or if it will be capitalism light. It'll be heavy on social platforms. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait to see what happens with that. Maybe just as bad? Yeah. I died again. Yeah, I think he's probably just as bad too, to be honest. But we'll see. We'll have to see what happens. I'll look into him a bit more for you guys if you like.
Thank you, Mr. President. Great honor. Thank you very much. Please take this message back that all Americans are united with the Venezuelan people in their righteous struggle for freedom. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
No worries, Leah. Thanks, hon. Have a great night. And there'll be another video up tomorrow, so... Plus, this will be a video up, will go up later, so if you ever want to get bored and watch it, you can.
Thank you very much. Socialism destroys nations, but always remember freedom unifies the soul. To safeguard American liberty, we have invested a record-breaking $2.2 trillion in the United States military. We have purchased the finest planes, missiles, rockets, ships, and every other form of military equipment, and it's all made right here in the USA. We are also getting our allies, finally, to help pay their fair share. I have raised contributions from other NATO members by more than $400 billion.
Error adding friend. Please try again. That's what it says in my quick add friend. Really? That's weird. I'm being blacklisted by his team. I'll type it in chat just in case you misheard, but it's the same as the channel name. But it should be under... Should be under that. I can give you this, like the Steam ID number or something if it helps. Where's my Steam profile? Or if you want to type yours in, or whisper it to me even, I can go through and I'll add you and you can just accept that way if you want, Lee. Apart from that, let's keep going, guys.
And the number of allies meeting their minimum obligations has more than doubled. And just weeks ago, for the first time since President Truman established the Air Force, more than 70 years earlier, we created a brand new branch of the United States Armed Forces. It's called the Space Force. Very important. In the gallery tonight, we have a young gentleman and what he wants so badly, 13 years old, Ian Lawnfay. He's an 8th grader from Arizona. Ian, please stand up. Ian has always dreamed of going to space. He was the first in his class and among the youngest at an aviation academy. He aspires to go to the Air Force Academy, and then he has his eye on the Space Force. As Ian says, most people look up at space. I want to look down on the world.
Kid. Alright, so I think I added you, but I will post also my profile code for adding a friend. So if you type that in, it should come up with my profile straight away. Good on you, kid. I hope you get to space. Meet you up there.
But sitting behind Ian tonight is his greatest hero of them all. Charles McGee was born in Cleveland, Ohio, 1 century ago. Charles is one of the last surviving Tuskegee Airmen, the first black fighter pilots, and he also happens to be Ian's great-grandfather.
Ah, that's cool. That's why he wants to go to space. It's in his blood.
Incredible story. After more than 130 combat missions in World War II, he came back home to a country still struggling for civil rights and went on to serve America in Korea and Vietnam. On December 7th, Charles celebrated his 100th birthday.
Well done, buddy. So, Larry says in chat, one upside, I think it's supposed to be maybe that Trump has some major influence over Guaido. I meant maybe, yeah, maybe, yeah. Well, if that prime minister or wannabe prime minister or whatever, duly elected prime minister, whatever you want to refer to him as, I think is my understanding he was supposed to be elected, but there was vote claiming rigs, blah blah blah. But anyway, if he's in the audience with Trump now, chances are he's going to be a little bit more sympathetic to the US. So yeah, I would say that's probably an understatement, to be honest. Aging well, yeah, well, definitely for 100 years old, he's definitely doing all right, I tell you. So yeah. But then the Asians always do very well when it comes to aging too. So, you know, there's a little bit of genetics in play there. Let's keep going.
A few weeks ago, I signed a bill promoting Charles McGee to Brigadier General, and earlier today, I pinned the stars on his shoulders in the Oval Office. General McGee, our nation salutes you. Thank you, sir.
Getting the US to pin medals on you, that, well, whether you like him or not, that would be cool. That would be something you tell your grandkids about.
From the Pilgrims to the founders, from the soldiers at Valley Forge to the marchers at Selma, and from President Lincoln to the Reverend Martin Luther King, Americans have always rejected limits on our children's future. Members of Congress, we must never forget that the only victories that matter in Washington are victories that deliver for the American people. The people are the heart of our country. Their dreams are the soul of our country, and their love is what powers and sustains our country. We must always remember that our job is to put America first.
I built a concrete box for the door.
The next step forward in building an inclusive society is making sure that every young American gets a great education and the opportunity to achieve the American dream. Yet for too long, countless American children have been trapped in failing government schools. To rescue these students, 18 states have created school choice in the form of opportunity scholarships. The programs are so popular that tens of thousands of students remain on a waiting list. One of those students is Janiyah Davis, a fourth grader from Philadelphia. Janiyah. Janiyah's mom, Stephanie, is a single parent. She would do anything to give her daughter a better future. But last year, that future was put further out of reach when Pennsylvania's governor vetoed legislation to expand school choice to 50,000 children. Janiyah and Stephanie are in the gallery. Stephanie, thank you so much for being here with your beautiful daughter. Thank you very much. But Janiyah, I have some good news for you, because I am pleased to inform you that your long wait is over. I can proudly announce tonight that an opportunity scholarship has become available. It's going to you, and you will soon be heading to the school of your choice.
That's pretty cool.
Now I call on Congress to give 1 million American children the same opportunity Janiyah has just received. Pass the Education Freedom Scholarships and Opportunities Act, because no parent should be forced to send their child to a failing.
Now you should be able to join on your friends off your friends list on the server when you go to join a game. It should come up there. So feel free to jump in. Let us know when you're crashing, literally crashing. I'll come and get you.
Government
Or you can
school.
do your own thing, whatever. Okay. Hopefully this save will be put over onto the dedicated server when they finish fixing it. So any progress that you make today should resolve or stay with the new server. I really don't want to keep wiping anymore. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, this should be progress locked, so to say. Let's keep going.
Every young person should have a safe and secure environment in which to learn and to grow. For this reason, our magnificent First Lady has launched the Be Best initiative to advance a safe, healthy, supportive, and drug-free life for the next generation, online, in school, and in our communities. Thank you, Melania, for your extraordinary love and profound care for America's children. Thank you very much.
I just want to say, as a First Lady, god damn, she is beautiful. A lot more beautiful than Bill Clinton would have been as a First Lady. Although Bill Clinton in that dress, eh, Jeffrey? So, in chat on YouTube, is that the vodka in the Nancy the Ripper glass? I don't know. Dude, we were talking about that earlier, right, when we first started. She does slur words, doesn't she? It's not just me that notices it either. She really does. She does talk like a drunken uncle. Democrats haven't been so pissed off since Lincoln freed the... Oh boy, I'm not even going to finish that sentence right there. That would probably get me banned. But yeah, you're right.
My administration is determined to give our citizens the opportunities they need, regardless of age or background. Through our pledge to American workers, over 400 companies will also provide new jobs and education opportunities to almost 15 million Americans. My budget also contains an exciting vision for our nation's high schools. Tonight, I ask Congress to support our students and back my plan to offer vocational and technical education in every single high school in America.
So what do I need? Another 1,000 points.
To expand equal opportunity, I am also proud that we achieved record and permanent funding for our nation's historically black colleges and universities. A good life for American families also requires the most affordable, innovative, and high-quality health care system on earth. Before I took office, health insurance premiums had more than doubled in just 5 years. I moved quickly to provide affordable alternatives. Our new plans are up to 60% less expensive and better. I've also made an ironclad pledge to American families. We will always protect patients with pre-existing conditions. And we will always protect your Medicare, and we will always protect your Social Security, always. The American patient should never be blindsided by medical bills. That is why I signed an executive order requiring price transparency. Many experts believe that transparency, which will go into full effect at the beginning of next year, will be even bigger than healthcare reform. It will save families massive amounts of money for substantially better care. But as we work to improve Americans' health care, there are those who want to take away your health care, take away your doctor, and abolish private insurance entirely. 132 lawmakers in this room have endorsed legislation to impose a socialist takeover of our health care system, wiping out the private health insurance plans of 180 million very happy Americans. To those watching at home tonight, I want you to know
Larry.
we will never let socialism destroy American health care.
So let's talk about healthcare, because you know it's nowhere near polarizing or anything like that. As you guys know, or everybody knows, you can't join me. Damn it! See, this is the problem that Wolf is having, Lee, as well. Let me guess, it's coming up unable to retrieve information or something. So, as you guys know, I'm in Australia, right? We have social systems over here And we also have a private sector. I have family members that have been diagnosed with some conditions. They're fine, don't worry, everything's good. But they had a choice of going between public or going private. Now, obviously, my family members are well off, so they went private, sorry. And subsequently, they are fine. They got the treatment they needed, and everything is fine. But if they had gone through the public sector, it would have been a less successful than it already was, and we don't know what the outcome could have been. They could have been still fine, but let's just say if you're in Australia and you're rich and you have money, you don't bother going through the public sector. I have literally gone to the public hospital with just like a bloody nose, for example. But like, so I have a medical condition where I have what I suspect is a damaged hypothalamus. Even as a baby, I've always overheated, right? But as your baby, you don't generally know this sort of stuff. It wasn't until years later that it was like, oh, hey, wait, I get hot real quick, real fast. But anyway, but I was going to say, I was going through and I get these nosebleeds, and they would be just like a fountain of blood pouring out of my nose, right? Because the blood vessels in my nose would expand, and that would then allow me to sort of get these bleeds because the blood vessels are closer to the skin, blah, 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 right? It's all gross. To fix it is to simply go and get it cauterized, right? So they stick a little electrode, little thing up your nose, they fry the skin, they cut the vessel off, and basically you go through and you're fine. It's like a 15-minute, 20-minute procedure. No real big thing. For me to get it done public, it was like a 6 to 12 month wait. For me to get it done private, it was a 15-minute wait. You can tell where I went because I no longer have those nosebleeds. But yeah, it was just a big difference in the two systems. Oh, I need you for points. Come here. Come here, you little alien bug thing. So yeah, there's a very big difference, even in Australia, between the two systems. At the end of the day, people that go on about socialized systems and stuff, they don't realize that socialized systems are great, but your taxes will go up to pay for them. I like the fact that I can go to a public hospital if I need to and not have to worry about paying a bill. That is absolutely amazing. But I pay for it every week, and so does everybody else. Everybody else pays for it every week too. So it's, yeah, just keep in mind it's not free. You are going to have to pay for it some way or another. Mandrake cost me thousands while I was still uninsured. Unconstitutional, but supported by Chief Justice Roberts. He's probably been compromised by the deep state. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Mandate. Oh, yeah. It cost you. Yeah. Sorry. Lee, in chat, I don't know how to fix that problem. I thought I might have fixed it by playing around with my router earlier today. But for some reason, yeah, I don't know what to do about that. If you have a suggestion, let me know. We can try and fix it, but...
Over 130 legislators in this chamber have endorsed legislation that would bankrupt our nation by providing free taxpayer-funded health care to millions of illegal aliens, forcing taxpayers to subsidize free care for anyone in the world who unlawfully crosses our borders. These proposals would raid the Medicare benefits of our seniors and that our seniors depend on, while acting as a powerful lure for illegal immigration. Oh, no. That is what is happening in California and other states. Their systems are totally out of control. costing taxpayers vast and unaffordable amounts of money. If forcing American taxpayers to provide unlimited free health care to illegal aliens sounds fair to you, then stand with the radical left. But if you believe that we should defend American patients and American seniors, then stand with me and pass legislation to prohibit free government health care for illegal aliens.
Oh, yeah, healthcare mandate, yep. Oh, all right, man.
This will be a tremendous boon to our already very strongly guarded southern border, where, as we speak, a long, tall, and very powerful wall is being built. We have now completed over 100 miles and have over 500 miles fully completed in a very short period of time. Early next year, we will have substantially more than 500 miles completed. My administration is also taking on the big pharmaceutical companies. We have approved a record number of affordable generic drugs, and medicines are being approved by the FDA at a faster clip than ever before. And I was pleased to announce last year that for the first time in 51 years, the cost of...
So Lee says in chat, I forgot about the wall. About that wall. This is something the media doesn't tell anybody about. But yes, the wall has been built. It has been built. It is being built. It is underway. Here's also something that media won't tell you about. Trump's not the only president in the past, including Obama, that have actually allocated funds to wall. Barack Obama allocated funds to repair sections of the wall. Bill Clinton spent money to repair the wall. They've all spent money on the wall. Even Bernie Sanders, 10 whatever years ago, 12 years ago, whatever it was. Even he wanted to build the wall. Everybody has wanted it. This anti-wall movement thing, it's only been around the past 3 to 4 years, and that was because Trump was running off it. If Trump had gone on about knocking down the wall, I'll tell you now, all the Democrats would be voting to build a wall. They're literally just doing the opposite to what Trump is because they don't like him. And that's all it is. But way before Trump became in power and whatnot, all of the politicians have gone through and spent some money on fixing up the border wall. So this whole, it's a wall is racist shit. No, it's not. Because otherwise, Obama and everybody else would have been racist when they were doing it. The only difference is now Trump's doing it, and they don't like Trump. Because Trump beat their girl. That's what it is. It's, my team lost because of you, so you're a bad man. So everything that you say and do, we're not going to like. So, yeah, work that one out.
Of prescription drugs actually went down. And working together, Congress can reduce drug prices substantially from current levels. I've been speaking to Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa and others in Congress in order...
Larry says in chat, most of the wall money was probably laundered in the past. It wasn't laundered, it was spent on upgrading and repairing sections that were damaged. But yeah, there's obviously waste when it comes to government. I don't think any government actually doesn't waste things when it gets a chance. But yeah, most of the money was spent And this is the thing, right? If Trump is a racist for putting in the wall, so is Barack Obama, so is Bill Clinton, so is everybody else. You know, because they've all done it in the past. So, yeah.
To get something on drug pricing done, and done quickly and properly.
It's not going to stop them either way, Lee says on Twitch, which is true. At the end of the day, if someone wants to climb that wall or to climb under it or whatever it may be, they will find a way. You are totally right. But what it does do is it's a deterrent. And that's what it is. It's a deterrent to stop people from trying to climb. It's a bottleneck, right? So instead of having these great big open areas where they can just roam across wherever they may feel like it, now they're going to get hopefully funneled into checkpoints. And those checkpoints will be able to go through and will be able to check who's coming into the country and who hasn't. If you want to know if walls work, ask Australia. Australia has one of the best walls. It's called the Pacific Ocean filled with sharks. Right? Doesn't stop them from coming here, but it does make it a lot more interesting, that's for sure. And it's a deterrent. It's a, well, the US has a great big wall now, so we got to find somewhere else to cross, maybe. And hopefully those areas will have border security and people checking who comes into the country, and it's a deterrent. That's all it is. But here's the thing: even if it doesn't stop them, even if it's the US spending their money on this wall for a landmark, so to speak, it's still good for your economy anyway, right? Because people need jobs. People need money, right? It's still going to make money because at the end of the day, people are going to have to go through. They're going to need contractors. They're going to need steel workers, steel labourers, you know, bobcat drivers, machinery operators, whatever it may be. The government helping bringing people into the United States anyway. True, yeah, it does. Trump's not against immigration. He's against illegal immigration. And there's the difference. It's actually quite funny because most of the people that are in the alt-right hate Trump for allowing any immigration into the country. Most of the war money... Oh, yeah, I've already read that. Cool.
I'm calling for bipartisan legislation that achieves the goal of dramatically lowering prescription drug prices. Get a bill on my desk and I will sign it into law immediately. With unyielding commitment, we are curbing the opioid epidemic.
What are they shouting?
Drug overdose deaths declined for the first time in nearly 30 years. Price. With unyielding commitment,
Sounds like it's coming from the Democratic side, so God knows what they're saying.
We are curbing the opioid epidemic. Drug overdose deaths declined for the first time in nearly 30 years. Among the states hardest hit, Ohio is down 22%, Pennsylvania is down 18%, Wisconsin is down 10%, and we will not quit until we have beaten the opioid epidemic once and for all.
I would say, Lee says in chat, most illegal immigration comes in the country with government help. I would say, depending on what you mean by illegal immigrants, and it depends on which government you're talking about. I know the left loves importing immigrants, but that's because at the end of the day, they will vote for them. It's a voting bloc.
Protecting Americans' health also means fighting infectious diseases. We are coordinating with the Chinese government and working closely together on the coronavirus outbreak in China. My administration will take all necessary steps to safeguard our citizens from this threat. We have launched ambitious new initiatives to substantially improve care for Americans with kidney disease, Alzheimer's, and those struggling with mental health. And because Congress...
Oh my God, Nancy, there you go. Alzheimer's, you're going to be taken care of, Hunt.
was so good as to fund my request, new cures for childhood cancer, and we will
I can't make it out
eradicate
either, though.
the AIDS epidemic in America by the end of this decade. Almost every American family knows the pain when a loved one is diagnosed with a serious illness. Here tonight is a special man, beloved by millions of Americans, who just received a stage 4 advanced cancer diagnosis. This is not good news, but what is good news is that he is the greatest fighter and winner that you will ever meet. Rush Limbaugh, thank you for your decades of tireless devotion to our country. And Rush, in recognition of all that you have done for our nation, the millions of people a day that you speak to and that you inspire, and all of the incredible work that you have done for charity, I am proud to announce tonight that you will be receiving our country's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
He generally looks shocked there. He might be A, a good actor, or B, it's legit. I'm not quite sure.
I will now ask the First Lady of the United States to present you with the honor, please. Rush and Catherine, congratulations. Thank you, Catherine. As we pray for all who are sick, we know that America is constantly achieving new medical breakthroughs. In 2017, doctors at St. Luke's Hospital in Kansas City delivered one of the earliest premature babies ever to survive. Born at just 21 weeks and 6 days and weighing less than a pound, Ellie Schneider was a born fighter. Through the skill of her doctors and the prayers of her parents, little Ellie kept on winning the battle of life. Today, Ellie is a strong, healthy 2-year-old girl sitting with her amazing mother, Robin. In the gallery, Ellie and Robin.
All right, so I want to talk about Rush Limbaugh because I think Rush got truly emotional. Probably did. Trump is good at trolling the Dems. I'm surprised they didn't boo Rush. Yeah, that would have gone down really well if they had of. All right, let's talk about Rush because I know a lot of people were very upset, for the lack of a better word, about Rush Limbaugh getting the Medal of Freedom. To be honest, I don't care. Whether you like his politics or not, he is a journalist. He has been in the fight for journalism for years, a lot longer than I've ever been a quote journalist. So at the end of the day, do I think he deserves it? Sure, I think he deserves it. I think all journalists that have given as much as he has to journalism deserve it. Whether you like his politics or not, I don't care. It's a case of he's a journalist, he deserves it. I don't always agree with Glenn Greenwald, for example. I normally do when it comes to Assange, but I don't normally always agree with Glenn Greenwald. But if he was offered the Medal of Freedom, whatever Rush was offered, I would assume that he would also take it as well. And I would think he would also agree with it. And he would also deserve it as well. So it's not just a left or right thing, although I do think Trump gave it to Rush because he knows there's no way Dems will give it to him anyway. So is it a case of Trump going through and giving it to his own side? Sure. But Obama would have done it too. Obama would have done it. The Dems would have done it. The Conservatives do it. Everybody gives it to their own team, right? It's a way of going through and basically commenting on the struggles that that people in the media have, and whether you like them or not, I think he deserves it.
We are glad to have you with us tonight. Ella reminds us that every child is a miracle of life. And thanks to modern medical wonders, 50% of very premature babies delivered at the hospital where Ellie was born now survive. It's an incredible thing. Thank you very much. Our goal should be to ensure that every baby has the best chance to thrive and grow just like Ellie. That is why I'm asking Congress to provide an additional $50 million to fund neonatal research for America's youngest patients. That is why I'm also calling upon members of Congress here tonight to pass legislation finally banning the late-term abortion of babies. Whether we are Republican, Democrat, or Independent, surely we must all agree that every human life is a sacred gift from God. As we support America's moms and dads, I was recently proud to sign the law providing new parents in the federal workforce paid family leave, serving as a model for the rest of the country. Now I call on Congress to pass the bipartisan Advancing Support for Working Families Act, extending family leave to mothers and fathers all across our nation. $40 million American families have an average $2,200 extra thanks to our child tax credit. I've also overseen his...
So Larry says in chat, when Catholic Hispanics hear that, it puts very hard on their heartstrings. Trump's a genius. You're talking about the oh yeah. Late-term abortion. Oof. Do we want to get into that on Twitch? Because guys, this is obviously broadcast both on Twitch and on YouTube. For the people that have just joined us, we're going through. We're listening to State of the Union address. We're critiquing it. We're commenting on it. Feel free to comment in the chat, whatever you feel. It's open forum, guys. But I was going to say, but yeah, as for late-term abortion, look, I support abortion up to a certain point. The late-term stuff really does make me uncomfortable, to say the least. Really, really uncomfortable, because I think there is I don't want to say grander plan, but I think there's a grander plan. I'm just going to say it. There's a grander plan as to why they want late-term abortion, and it's not because of women's rights, you know. Sorry, the damn cough keeps coming back. Let's keep going.
Historic funding increases for high-quality child care, enabling 17 states to help more children, many of which have reduced or eliminated their wait lists altogether. And I sent Congress a plan with a vision to further expand access to high-quality child care and urge you to act immediately. To protect the environment, days ago I announced that the United States will join the 1 Trillion Trees Initiative, an ambitious effort to bring together government and private sector to plant new trees in America and all around the world.
You like planting trees will be racist soon. Guarantee it.
We must also rebuild America's infrastructure.
That was an election promise he hasn't done yet. That's one of the very few he hasn't done, is infrastructure.
I ask you to pass Senator John Barrasso's highway bill to invest in new roads, bridges, and tunnels all across our land. I'm also committed to ensuring that every citizen can have access to high-speed internet, including and especially in rural America. A better tomorrow for all Americans also requires us to keep America safe. That means supporting the men and women of law enforcement at every level, including our nation's heroic ICE officers.
Oh yeah, parkour, baby!
Last year, our brave ICE officers arrested more than 120,000 criminal aliens charged with nearly 10,000 burglaries, 5,000 sexual assaults, 45,000 violent assaults, and 2,000 murders. Tragically, there are many cities in America where radical politicians have chosen to provide sanctuary for these criminal, illegal aliens. In sanctuary cities, local officials order police to release dangerous criminal aliens to prey upon the public, instead of handing them over to ICE to be safely removed. Just 29 days ago, a criminal alien freed by the sanctuary city of New York was charged with the brutal rape and murder of a 92-year-old woman. The killer had been previously arrested for assault, but under New York sanctuary policies, he was set free. If the city had honored ICE's detainer request, his victim would still be alive today. The state of California passed an outrageous law declaring their whole state to be a sanctuary for criminal illegal immigrants. A very terrible sanctuary with catastrophic results. Here is just one tragic example. In December 2018, California police detained an illegal alien with 5 prior arrests, including...
I don't know what you believe about 5G. What do you think? Okay. I think 5G is dangerous to people's health. I've heard the rumors about 5G supposedly also being used for some sort of mind control. I don't know about that. It makes me nervous to think about that. Watch the Dems sit on their hands on this one. Very telling. Yeah, that is actually. We'll get to that in a sec. I've heard about the mind control aspects of 5G. It makes me nervous. It also makes me very nervous that Israel, who invented the 5G, will not bring it into their own country because of safety concerns. If I go making a cake, for example, and then I don't want to eat the cake because of safety concerns, chances are no one's going to want to eat the cake. Now, I know 5G is not cake, but you get the idea. We were actually, I've heard that too, yeah. We were actually going to do a story, Larry. So you might have heard us make reference to a guy who used to be on the show with me, Satellite. Nice guy, really cool guy. He's still around. He was actually in the Discord earlier tonight, actually, or yesterday. But yeah, him and I were actually going to do a story on the 5G. But he sort of stepped back from politics a bit, and well, obviously, you know, I haven't. So, yeah. But yeah, that's my thoughts on 5G. It's concerning. I really don't like the fact that people designed it, who made it, too afraid to put it into their own city.
Including convictions for robbery and assault. But as required by California's sanctuary law, local authorities released him. Days later, the criminal alien went on a gruesome spree of deadly violence. He viciously shot one man going about his daily work. He approached a woman sitting in her car and shot her in the arm and in the chest. He walked into a convenience store and wildly fired his weapon. He hijacked a truck and smashed into vehicles, critically injuring innocent victims. One of the victims is a terrible, terrible situation. Died, 51-year-old American named Rocky Jones. Rocky was at a gas station when this vile criminal fired 8 bullets at him from close range, murdering him in cold blood. Rocky left behind a devoted family.
I want to put something on full screen that I want to talk about. So, while Trump's going on about this guy that shot up everybody, and I did see the news, I was going to cover it. What's Nancy Pelosi doing in the background? Just let's watch Nancy for the past minute.
Convenience store and wildly fired his weapon. He hijacked a truck and smashed into vehicles, critically injuring innocent victims. One of the victims is a terrible, terrible situation. Died, 51-year-old American named Rocky Jones. Rocky was at a gas station when this vile criminal fired 8 bullets at him from close range, murdering him in cold blood. Rocky left behind a devoted family, including his brothers, who loved him more than anything else in the world. One of his grieving brothers.
Now, Trump's sitting there talking about this killer, and it's all true, by the way, because I saw the police report. Talking about this killer. And let's call him for what he is. Nancy Pelosi wasn't doing anything. She's now slouched over and trying to entertain herself with perusing his speech. Following along with the speech, whatever. She's trying to look busy, right? She's trying to avoid emotion. I don't know anybody who would sit there and try and avoid emotion when you're hearing this recounting of this event. To me, this is the third or fourth time I've heard about this, right? And even still now, I'm disgusted. I think this is an absolute waste of life. This is a huge, terrible disaster, right? It still shakes me to the core. But Nancy Pelosi is trying to look busy? Now, I don't know. Maybe it's guilt, right? Maybe she knows that her Democratic Party is responsible for this to a certain point because of their policies that they want to bring in, because of the rhetoric they spin. Maybe they know that they're somewhat responsible. Maybe that's what it is. But at the end of the day, you see Mike Pence in the background, and you can sort of make him out because he's sort of sitting there. He's up the top there. But he's sitting there sort of nodding, right? He's like agreeing, and he's like, yeah, like this is terrible, blah, blah, blah. But Nancy's not. She's just perusing Trump's speech. She's just reading the speech and trying to look busy. You know, it's just, I don't know, I can't hear this story about this guy who went on this spree, or whatever you want to call it, and think, like, especially if the camera's on you, you would have to sit there and show some emotion. And obviously she's trying her best not to, right? But, like, what sort of person doesn't want to show emotion on this? I don't know, it baffles me that, you know, that you could try and make out that you're so cold. Whether you're cold or not, that's a different matter. But, like, trying to make out that you're so cold, it's just like, what are you doing, hun? You're trying to come off as Ice Queen or something. Like, yeah. I don't know. That's the way I behave when I'm trying to deflect or I'm in trouble. Yeah, pretty much. That's what I figured it is. I think at the end of the day that she's somewhat responsible for this. Her party's somewhat responsible for this. She knows it. He knows it. But yeah, it's deflection. But yeah. I'll make it that big.
Is here with us tonight. Jody, would you please stand? Jody, thank you. Jody, our hearts weep for your loss, and we will not rest until you have justice. Senator Tom Tillis has introduced legislation to allow Americans like Jody to sue sanctuary cities and states when a loved one is hurt or killed as a result of these deadly practices.
That's pretty interesting.
I ask Congress to pass the Justice for Victims of Sanctuary Cities Act immediately. The United States of America should be a sanctuary for law-abiding Americans, not criminal aliens. In the last 3 years, ICE has arrested over 5,000 wicked human traffickers, and I have signed 9 pieces of legislation to stamp out the menace of human trafficking domestically and all around the globe. My administration has undertaken an unprecedented effort to secure the southern border of the United States. Before I came into office, if you showed up illegally on our southern border and were arrested, you were simply released and allowed into our country, never to be seen again. My administration has ended catch and release. If you come illegally, you will now be promptly removed from our country. Very importantly, we entered into historic
Big koala bear of a man. The crowd loves this. I mean, the man who stood up. I might have missed that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the crowd that generally loves him. Now, obviously, this is very much Trump's base. You know, he's obviously, I believe he's giving this in Congress at the moment. So I believe that's where the State of the Union is held. That said, it is pretty much Trump's turf. You know, they do own the Senate. But yeah, not that many. But yeah, at the end of the day, he definitely does have home term advantage. But that said, you know, Trump's approval at the moment is pretty high. It's like 49%. And it's around 90-something% among the GOP.
Jody, our hearts weep for your loss, and we will not rest until you have justice. Senator Tom Tillis has introduced legislation to allow Americans like Jody to sue sanctuary cities and states when a loved one is hurt or killed as a result of these deadly practices. I ask Congress to pass the Justice for Victims of Sanctuary Cities Act immediately. The United States of America should be a sanctuary for law-abiding Americans, not criminal aliens. In the last 3 years, ICE has arrested over 5,000 wicked human traffickers, and I have signed 9 pieces of legislation to stamp out the menace of human trafficking domestically and all around the globe. My administration has undertaken an unprecedented effort to secure the southern border of the United States. Before I came into office, if you showed up illegally on our southern border and were arrested, you were simply released and allowed into our country, never to be seen again. My administration has ended catch and release. If you come illegally, you will now be promptly removed from our country. Very importantly, we entered into historic cooperation agreements with the governments of Mexico, Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala. As a result of our unprecedented efforts, illegal crossings are down 75% since May, dropping 8 straight months in a row. And as the wall rapidly goes up, drug seizures rise, and the border crossings are going down and going down very rapidly. Last year, I traveled to the border in Texas and met Chief Patrol Agent Raul Ortiz. Over the last 24 months, Agent Ortiz and his team have seized more than 200,000 pounds of poisonous narcotics, arrested more than 3,000 human smugglers, and rescued more than 2,000 migrants. Days ago, Agent Ortiz was promoted to Deputy Chief of Border Patrol, and he joins us tonight. Chief Ortiz, please stand. A grateful nation
TV
thanks
crowd.
you and
Yeah.
all of the heroes of Border
Yeah.
Patrol and
Oh,
ICE.
yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. To build on these historic gains, we are working on legislation to replace our outdated and randomized immigration system with one based on merit, welcoming those who follow the rules, contribute to our economy, support themselves financially, and uphold our values. With every action, my administration is restoring the rule of law and reasserting the culture of American freedom. Working with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Thank you, Mitch. And his colleagues in the Senate, we have confirmed a record number of 187 new federal judges to uphold our Constitution as written. This includes two brilliant new Supreme Court justices, Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh. Thank you. And we have many in the pipeline. My administration is also defending religious liberty, and that includes the constitutional right to pray in public schools. In America, we don't punish prayer. We don't tear down crosses. We don't ban symbols of faith. We don't muzzle preachers and pastors. In America, we celebrate faith. We cherish religion. We lift our voices in prayer, and we raise our sights to the glory of God. Just as we believe in the First Amendment, we also believe in another constitutional right that is under siege all across our country. So long as I am president, I will always protect your Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. In reaffirming our heritage as a free nation, we must remember that America has always been a frontier nation. Now we must embrace the next frontier, America's manifest destiny in the stars. I am asking Congress to fully fund the Artemis program to...
All right, let's talk about Second Amendment. I love your Second Amendment. I really, really, really do. So, as you guys know, and as I've said a couple of times throughout this, I live in Australia. We have gun laws in Australia right here. And yes, it is entirely possible for me to go out and get a gun. It's possible, but it ain't likely. Basically, the gun laws now in Australia, you need to have a shooter's license. You need to have property, so you need to be a farmer. There's a whole range of restrictions. Actually, there's not that much of a range. It's pretty much be a farmer or be a sports shooter. And that's it. it sucks. It really, really does, because I actually grew up going shooting with my dad. My dad and my brother. I grew up around firearms. I was bullied at school to a certain point. Pretty badly, actually, sometimes. I never got a gun and went and shot someone at all. So I don't buy this whole school shooters are just because the firearms are available, because when I was going through school, there were firearms available. We literally had a gun safe at home. And if I... Yeah, and people are going to sit there and go, you're just different. No. Right, I was extensively bullied at school. Right, I never once got a gun and went shoot up a school. The reason why is because if I had of, my daddy would have kicked my ass when I got home that night. Or if I got home that night. And then even 20 years later, after I finally got out of jail, my daddy would have kicked my ass. He would have kicked my ass so hard my nose would still be bleeding. And I think at the end of the day, America has to worry more about the destruction of families, the destruction of role models in society, the propping up of wrong role models. I think at the end of the day, if there's a good, healthy family dynamic, you don't tend to get a lot of these shooters. And that's what I had. I had a strong family dynamic. I had a dad who was a dad's dad. You know, he was he a bit rough, heavy-handed sometimes? Sure. And all dads. But at the end of the day, I came out alright. And I reckon, I firmly believe that at the end of the day, the reason I came out alright was because I had a strong role model for a father. And that's what I think is the difference. That's what I think that America's problem is. Isn't the fact that there's people with guns, it's the fact that there's people without strong role models. And I think if you want to get rid of a lot of these weapons and these firearms and these school shootings and everything like that, start focusing on your family unit. Because every time I hear a mass shooting, I do a little check in my head. I go through and I'll listen to the mainstream media talk about it, and I'll wait for them to talk about the mum and dad. And I tell you, every time, they don't. Every time it's a single mum, a single dad, whatever it may be, that family dynamic is broken. And these kids, they don't have any strong role models. And I think if you want to stop shooting, you want to stop shooters, you want to stop school shooters, worry about your family dynamic more than you do about firearms. Because I can tell you now, the drug dealer down the street from me, and yes, there literally is a drug dealer down the street from me, he's still got a gun. The guy that shot up Darwin a few months ago, who had mental issues, reportedly, still had a gun. The bad guys, when the cops turn up to the houses to arrest the bad guys still have guns. Just because you ban firearms doesn't necessarily mean the guns go away. The only people that stop having them are the good guys, the guys that are law-abiding citizens. And it really does piss me off, especially when you sit there and you hear the media talk about Australia's gun laws and how it's a history that America should embrace. I'll tell you now, there's a reason why you don't hear about Australian gun laws anymore. Because they're doing that such of a bang-up job that we still have shooters. We're still having shooters going on right now. You just don't hear about them, that's all. But anyway, let's get going. So, yeah, guys, keep your Second Amendment because it is really important for you. And I tell you now, every government that's come after someone's taken away your Second Amendment has been tyrannical, including Australia right now. We have two government officials, two government teams, left and right, One of them wants to lead us into a communist party, and the other wants to lead us into Chinese party. They're both communists, and the thing is that we can't fight back because we do no longer have firearms. And you might sit there and think, oh, what does he know? He's Australian. We went through this. And I tell you now, the biggest thing about me wanting to move to America is because of the fact that I can defend my property. In Australia, if I have some bastard come and try and rob me and I shoot him, I go to jail. Even if I use a baseball bat, I go to jail. Not him, me. Even though he was coming to rob me, I can't protect my own property. And that's one thing I love about you guys.
Sure that the next man and the first woman on the moon will be American astronauts, using this as a launching pad to ensure...
I just want to comment. Lee says, sorry, not Lee. Larry says in chat, I love our Second Amendment too. I don't own a gun either. My dad would have kicked my ass too. Exactly right. That's the point. If I had been a school shooter, my daddy would have kicked my ass so hard my nose would have bled. I respect your opinions about abortion, but I do think that we have a possibility to have direct correlation between Roe v. Wade decision and the breakup of the family units. Yeah, there could be. Hey, Ellie, how are ya? I've been really, really well, hun. I've been really well. Thanks. Roe v. Wade, abortion, breaking up the family units. There could be something there, Larry. I don't know about that. I do know that there is a psychological effect on women when they've had an abortion. Some women just can't handle it real well. So there could be some sort of psychological effect on it. I'm not sure if you meant that, but if you want to talk about this sometime, feel free to. Apart from that, Ellen, I'm really, really good, Dan. Really good. We're going through State of the Union while playing games.
That America is the first nation to plant its flag on Mars. My administration is also strongly defending our national security and combating radical Islamic terrorism. Last week, I announced a groundbreaking plan for peace between Israel and the Palestinians. Recognizing that all past attempts have failed, we must be determined and creative in order to stabilize the region and give millions of young people the chance to realize a better future. 3 years ago, the barbarians of ISIS held over 20,000 square miles of territory in Iraq and Syria. Today, the ISIS territorial caliphate has been 100% destroyed, and the founder and leader of ISIS, the bloodthirsty killer known as al-Baghdadi.
Zombie says in chat, the law in Canada on guns is pretty good. I have to have a look into that. I'm not quite sure what the the Canadian gun laws are.
Is dead.
I just want to say, Trump's going around pushing this. You know, they go on about this Baghdadi, whatever his name was. The Yanks didn't like him, and I'm still trying to decide whether he was a good guy or a bad guy. There's a lot of misinformation about that if you ever wanted to attack Trump on, that would be easy to do. For a start, he was meeting he was Iranian. He was meeting in Iraq to talk about peace. That's what the meeting was actually happening. Not only that, but the US was the one that pushed for the meeting to happen. I'm not saying the Yanks went through and deliberately set this meeting up so they knew exactly where he would be so they could bomb him. But, you know, just saying, coincidence. Where's my tab? Yeah, I must admit, Ellen, it's a pretty good speech. Ellen says, I love his SOTU speech. It's a pretty good speech, actually. Yeah, so far it's been pretty good. It's one of its better. Yeah, he's definitely very presidential in this, that's for sure.
We are joined this evening by Carl and Marcia Mueller. After graduating from college, their beautiful daughter, Carla, became a humanitarian aid worker.
1, 2, 3.
She once
4,
wrote, some people
5.
find God in church.
1, 2,
Some people find
3,
God in nature.
4.
Saved by ice.
Even putting SOTU in the, like, wow. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm aware of it, Ellen. It's frustrating, Hunt. It really, really is. So you didn't get a notification about the South House, like this live stream coming up? Wow. Okay. I'm going to have to do something, guys. I don't know. Maybe make an app or something that you can download or something that'll let you know when I do, like, post a video or something. I don't know. Maybe that's something I should do. Make an app that notifies you when your favorite YouTuber actually puts out a video, because apparently YouTube is incapable of doing it. You had to check. Wow. So what we might do, I was thinking about this earlier today. We could always do the live streams on Twitch. You got a notification this time. Okay. Yeah, some people did, some people didn't. It seems to be very spasmodic as to whether you get a notification or not. What we could do is we could do the live streams on Twitch. Let me know what you guys think about that idea. Could be fun. There are other people that talk politics on Twitch, so it might work. Let me know what your thoughts are in the chat.
He was just 26 years old. On the night that U.S. Special Forces operations ended al-Baghdadi's miserable life, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, received a call in the Situation Room. He was told that the brave men of the elite Special Forces team that so perfectly carried out the operation had given their mission a name, Task Force 814. It was a reference to a special day, August 14th, Kayla's birthday. Carl and Marcia, America's warriors, never forgot Kayla, and neither will we. Thank you.
That's pretty cool. I like that. I don't have a Twitch, I have a Perla.
Every day, America's men and women in uniform demonstrate the infinite depth of love that dwells in the human heart. One of these American heroes was Army Staff Sergeant Christopher Hake. On his second deployment to Iraq in 2008, Sergeant Hake wrote a letter to his one-year-old son, Gage. I will be with you again, he wrote to Gage. I will teach you to ride your first bike, build your first sandbox, watch you play sports, and see you have kids also. I love you, son. Take care of your mother. I am always with you, Daddy. On Easter Sunday of 2008, Chris was out on patrol in Baghdad when his Bradley fighting vehicle was hit by a roadside bomb. That night, he made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Sergeant Hake now rests in eternal glory in Arlington, and his wife, Kelly, is in the gallery tonight, joined by their son, who is now a 13-year-old and doing very, very well. To Kelly and Gage, Chris will live in our hearts forever. He is looking down on you now. Thank you.
It's always heartbreaking to hear those stories. It really, really is.
Thank you very much. Thank you both very much. The terrorist responsible for killing Sergeant Hake was Qasem Soleimani, who provided the deadly roadside bomb that took Chris's life. Soleimani was the Iranian regime's most ruthless butcher, a monster who murdered or wounded thousands of American service members in Iraq. As the world's top terrorist, Soleimani orchestrated the deaths of countless men, women, and children. He directed the December assault and went on to assault
Trump's getting upset.
U.S. forces in Iraq, was actively planning new attacks when we hit him very hard. And that's why last month, at my direction, the U.S. military
Okay, I'm going to call bullshit on that. Because every time the U.S. is asked for proof, they have said, we have it, but we're not going to show you it. Every time the US has been asked for proof of this attack that's supposedly going to happen, they're saying, yeah, we got proof, we're just not going to show it. And this is one thing that really does bug me about Trump. He was elected as a non-interventionist, and he is going back on that a little bit. Now, whether you want to say it is because of the deep state pushing him, that's probably a decent argument. But facts are facts. You know, if we're going to praise Trump for doing the stuff right, we also got to have a shot at him when he does stuff wrong, right? Facts are facts. The fact is that Trump, he might be full of shit on this one. I'm just going to say it. I know a lot of people aren't going to like it, but yeah, take what you will from it. But I would very much like to see the proof of that before I go jumping on this bandwagon about this guy being a terrorist. Because as far as I know, the Iranians are actually helping Russia fight ISIS. So if that's the case, why would this Iranian, who supposedly is part of their government, be supposedly going through and helping attacks? That I'm sorry, it seems like BS to me. But let me know what you guys think in the chat.
Executed a flawless precision strike that killed Soleimani and terminated his evil reign of terror forever. Our message to the terrorists is clear. You will never escape American justice. If you attack our citizens, you forfeit your life. In recent months, we have seen proud Iranians raise their voices against their oppressive rulers. The Iranian regime must abandon its pursuit of nuclear weapons, stop spreading terror, death, and destruction, and start working for the good of its own people. Because of our powerful sanctions, the Iranian economy is doing very, very poorly. We can help them make a very good and short-time recovery. It can all go very quickly, but perhaps they are too proud or too foolish to ask for that help. We are here. Let's see which road they choose. It is totally up to them. As we defend American lives, we are working to end America's wars in the Middle East. In Afghanistan, the determination and valor of our warfighters has allowed us to make tremendous progress, and peace talks are now underway. I am not looking to kill hundreds of thousands of people in Afghanistan, many of them totally innocent.
That's going to make the deep state upset.
It is also not our function to serve other nations as law enforcement agencies. These are warfighters that we have, the best in the world, and they either want to fight to win or not fight at all. We are working to finally end America's longest war and bring our troops back home.
So Larry says in chat, it does seem like bullshit, but I've allowed Trump some leeway on some of these things while he's fighting to stay alive against the dishonest information by the press and the deep state. But I could be wrong. Or I could be wrong. Yeah, I think it's bullshit. I really, really do. I don't think this guy was as big a terrorist as what the US is making him out to be. I think the deep state pulled the trigger. And I think Trump is using it as a way of coming across as a hero. But, yeah, I don't think it's... Yeah. I think there's a lot more to this. Because as far as I know, he was in Iraq, and he was there for peace talks, not for making bombs. If you ever want to know why the US would deliberately kill someone, I'm just going to say pipeline.
War places a heavy burden on our nation's extraordinary military families, especially spouses like Amy Williams from Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and her two children, 6-year-old Eliana and 3-year-old Rowan. Amy works full-time and volunteers countless hours helping other military families. For the past 7 months, she has done it all while her husband, Sergeant First Class Townsend Williams, is in Afghanistan on his 4th deployment in the Middle East. Amy's kids haven't seen their father's face in many months. Amy, your family's sacrifice makes it possible for all of our families to live in safety and in peace, and we want to thank you. Thank you, Amy. But Amy, there is one more thing. Tonight we have a very special surprise. I am thrilled to inform you that your husband is back from deployment. He is here with us tonight, and we couldn't keep him waiting any longer.
That's pretty cool.
Welcome home, Sergeant Williams. Thank you very much. As the world bears witness tonight, America is a land of heroes. This is a place where greatness is born.
He does, Owen. Yeah, he does.
Where destinies are forged and where legends come to life.
True, Larry.
This is
Getting
the
out of
home
wars
of
can be
Thomas
messy.
Edison and Teddy Roosevelt, of many great generals, including Washington, Pershing, Patton, and MacArthur. This is the home of Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, Amelia Earhart, Harriet Tubman, the Wright brothers, Neil Armstrong, and so many more. This is the country where children learn names like Wyatt Earp, Davy Crockett, and Annie Oakley. This is the place where the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth and where Texas patriots made their last stand at the Alamo.
Yeah. That bugged me. That really, really does bug me, right? Here is a vet who's come home. He's just served his country. Whether you agree with anything Trump has said or not, here is a vet literally coming home to his family, been away for years. And the effing Democrats are sitting there in white, not even clapping and applauding this man. What the actual... I don't care if you're a non-interventionist, right? I really don't prefer going to war. But what the are you doing? This is a man who has just literally put himself on the line, protecting your God-given freedoms. And what do? You're sitting there like a stunned mullet, not frigging clapping for a war hero. A guy who's literally put it all on the line. I don't care if you want to join into the chant of USA or not. What you do is you get up off your ass and you give the man a friggin' a round of applause, and at the very least you go up afterwards and you shake his hand, because of the fight that this man has been in for the past so many years is the reason why you're able to sit on your ass. Because of what this man has done and other men like him, you are able to sit on your ass in your white and not frigging clap. It is so disrespectful. And it's lucky I was not there, because I would have said to Trump, excuse me for a sec, and gone up and blasted him. It's absolute... My family is vets, war vets. I was in the services to a certain point. I'm not going to get into details because of doxing. But my family has a very strong military history. I've had grandfathers who are in world wars. I've had family members that have served in conflicts around the world. And I tell you now, if any of these people had done this to my family, or any of my friends, or anybody that I've known, I would have knocked them the F out. But it's just... Not only is the optics bad, it's just downright disrespectful. And there's a few guys on Twitch here that I'm friends with that are Vietnam vets or war vets, whatever it may be. And some of them are having a bad time. They're suffering from survivor's guilt. They're suffering from PTSD. All this sort of shit. Spend a day with them. Spend a day talking to them and listening how their life is now. And the sacrifices they've made because of them going to a war to protect your ass. And then tell me you don't want to get up and clap. You don't want to get up and shake their hands. It pisses me off. It really does. It really infuriates me. Anybody that's a member of the YouTube channel knows it really pisses me off when they do this shit. And I'm sorry, but if you ever want anyone who's proud of their country not to vote for you, this is the best way to do it. Watch them in this video here. Not one of them. There's one. I think one's clapping. Look at him. Just sitting there.
Welcome home, Sergeant Williams. Thank you very much.
Fucking disrespect.
As the world bears witness tonight,
Sorry, guys. It's just...
America is a land of heroes. This is a place where greatness is born, where destinies are forged, and where legends...
I just want to say, over on YouTube, because obviously, guys, this is happening on YouTube and on Twitch at the moment. Over on YouTube, Ellie is saying, I hope you don't mind this, Ellie. Husband is in the Navy. My father-in-law was 20 years retired Navy. Larry says in chat, they know not what they do. They know exactly what they're doing, Larry, man. Like, it is, yeah. I died. But, you know, it's just, I'm moving on, because it just, if you ever want to hear me rant, start talking about this shit, because it pisses me off.
Come to
really,
life.
really does.
This is the home of Thomas Edison and Teddy
So
Roosevelt,
infuriating.
of many great generals, including Washington, Pershing, Patton,
Oh, it's
and
Tulsi
MacArthur.
Gabbard, was it?
This
That
is
makes
the
a
home
lot of
of
sense.
Abraham Lincoln, Frederick
That makes
Douglass,
a lot of sense.
Amelia Earhart, Harriet Tubman.
Look, I don't
the
agree
Wright
with everything
brothers,
Tulsi says,
Neil Armstrong,
but I
and so
full
many
respect
more.
to her for being war vet.
This is the country
Full
where
respect.
children learn names like Wyatt Earp, Davy Crockett, and Annie Oakley. This is the place where the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth, and where Texas patriots made their last stand at the Alamo. The beautiful, beautiful Alamo. The American nation was carved out of the vast frontier by the toughest, strongest, fiercest, and most determined men and women ever to walk on the face of the earth. Our ancestors braved the unknown, tamed the wilderness, settled the Wild West, lifted millions from poverty, disease, and hunger, vanquished tyranny and fascism, ushered the world to new heights of science and medicine, laid down the railroads, dug out the canals, raised up the skyscrapers, and ladies and gentlemen, our ancestors built the most exceptional republic ever to exist in all of.
So I want to talk about, so Larry says in chat, they had a, first Ellen says she's a vet. We're talking about Tulsi Gabbard here. Yes, she is. And like I say, I don't always agree with her politics, but full credit to her for being a vet. She has my respect. Alright, so yeah. Ellen said, Ellen, they had a viable candidate and they destroyed their only chance. Yeah, Doc, we had to start again. I'll talk about that in a sec, man. I don't know if she was a viable candidate. She had a better chance than anybody of probably beating Trump. But let's be honest, the reason why they got rid of her was because she's anti-establishment. So, okay, so the reason why the media, the mainstream media and the governments hate Trump is because he's anti-establishment, right? He doesn't want to go through, he doesn't want to bomb people, he doesn't want to spend millions of dollars killing people in wars, right? Worst case scenario, he's just going to drone strike you like he did that other guy, the Iranian guy. But he's not going to send in troops. He's not going to spend all this money sending troops unless he's forced to by the deep state. Sometimes he's had to once or twice, but you ever want to see this? You see about Trump pulling out of Iraq, and then Syria and stuff like that, and then you'll literally see some deep state stooge on the news the next day saying we're never leaving Iran, we're never leaving Iraq, we're not Syria, any of these sort of places, these hotspots, right? Because Halliburton, these sort of companies, they make money selling bombs. And that's what they do. They're going through and they're making money selling bombs. And they threw their money behind Hillary Clinton because she's more likely to do that. Trump isn't. Whether you like him or not, that's one thing you got to say about him. Now, at the end of the day, that's why they hate Trump. They hate Trump because their person lost them a whole ton of money, because the idea is they spend all this money, they give you all this money, and then later down the track you go to war for them, and they make their money back tenfold. The problem is Hillary Clinton lost, so they didn't have that. They didn't have that payoff that they were expecting. Now, Tulsi Gabbard is the same as Trump. It's just on the opposite, horseshoe theory. She doesn't want war because she's been there. She's been through it. She knows exactly what it's like. So at the end of the day, there's no way Tulsi Gabbard, flat out, if Bernie Sanders is ever going to win, Because at the end of the day, they're no different than Trump. The deep state, they're not going to replace anybody with Trump that's worse than Trump or the same as Trump, right? The deep state wants to replace Trump with somebody. They're going to replace him with Buttigieg or Joe Biden, someone who will go to war for them. And that's what you're seeing at the moment, especially over in Iowa, for example, right? The Iowa caucus. They're literally ripping Bernie off, right? Whether you like him or not, I don't care. You got to admit, it's really, really weird, this guy that no one can seem to A, say his name, or B, I heard much about him beforehand, has gone through and is supposedly winning Iowa. Really? He's winning Iowa? Really? Now, I'm not saying it wouldn't have been close, but at the end of the day, yeah, Iowa's Democratic election thing is them rigging the election again. They did it in 2016. They've probably done it before that. They're going to do it again. They're doing it now. They're going to do it again in 2024. Right? Because the Democratic Party is owned by the deep state, and the deep state wants war. Why? Because they make money. They sell the bombs. They sell the flak jackets. They sell the bullets. And Halliburton makes money off that stuff. They don't send their kids to war. They don't care. They just make war because that makes them money. And that's what they want. They want someone like Buttigieg or Obama or Hillary Clinton or some deep state stooge who will go through and make war. But, yeah. Obama was an idiot, says Ellen. I don't think he was an idiot. I think he played ball. Obama said we didn't build the country. I guess he means the slaves did. She's advocating for Trump. Really? I haven't heard that, Ellen. If you got anything that's interesting, I'd like to see that. I heard she did sort of not advocate for him, but she did talk about him being anti-establishment. And then she also talked about how also she sort of slandered him, and she's had it with the Democrats. Oh, okay, wow, okay. Is that anything new happening, is it? I haven't really been keeping up the past day or so. I've been dealing with Imperium and dedicated servers. I haven't seen much of news the past day. But yeah, okay. Well, that's interesting. Tulsi Gabbard. Okay. Can we get her on the Republican side, maybe? What do you think of her as a Republican? She could win 2024 for the Republicans. Doc says, did you start a game? Yeah, so the game we were playing last night, mate, it supposedly had PE on it, which was Project Eden. It didn't. And yeah, so at the moment we're running off the locally owned server that's running off my computer. They're hopefully going to be looking into it, and we're going to hopefully upload this save to the dedicated server. And that's the plan. So I'm going to let them sort it out, let them get PE up on that server up and running, and then we're going to copy the save game over. And that's the plan. She might run as an independent. Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Human history, and we are making it greater than ever before. This is our glorious and magnificent inheritance. We are Americans. We are pioneers. We are the pathfinders. We settled the new world. We built the modern world. And we change history forever by embracing the eternal truth that everyone is made equal by the hand of Almighty God. America is the place where anything can happen. America is the place where anyone can rise. And here, on this land, on this soil, on this continent, the most incredible dreams come true. This nation is our canvas, and this country is our masterpiece. We look at tomorrow and see unlimited frontiers just waiting to be explored. Our brightest discoveries are not yet known. Our most thrilling stories are not yet told. Our grandest journeys are not yet made. The American age, the American epic, the American adventure has only just begun. Our spirit is still young. The sun is still rising. God's grace is still shining. And my fellow Americans, the best is yet to come. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
Alright, so let's talk about her ripping up the speech. Disgusting. I don't care whether you like him or not. Disgusting to rip up the speech, because that speech was basically a commendation of everything that's happened over the past year or so. Ripping it up is just literally, it's disrespectful. It really is. If you have a problem with Trump's speech, you go through and you can recant it, you can debate it, you can do whatever you want. Ripping it up, it's bad optics, and not only is it bad optics, but it's also just disrespectful for anybody that was mentioned in that speech. And there are a lot of good people on either side of the political spectrum that were mentioned in that speech. So yeah, I have a big problem with her ripping it up. Him not shaking her hand, I don't care about, to be honest. Her going through and, you know, using the proper... Look, it's just petty. It really, really is. It's a petty thing about them not using the proper terms. Either way, yeah. But ripping up the speech, even if you don't have a problem with it, you got to admit it has changed the course of the discussion. It's taken the discussion away from whether Trump was right or wrong in his speech, or what he was liar or not liar, and it's now solely about her ripping it up. So if you had a problem with anything that he'd done in this speech, which I presume the Democrats would have, regardless, you've lost the ability to debate it. You've lost the ability to go through and to argue anything that he said. Because now the topic is solely about you ripping up that speech. So not only have you taken away the argument away from what he's done, or what he said he's done, you've also taken the ability to shift the conversation to talk about anything. And it's all about her. And it's a stunt. It's a political stunt. It's a stunt because it's her showing her allegiances to the people with Trump derangement syndrome. Right? It's her showing her allegiances to Alexandria Cortez and all these people, the squad. And it was Tim Pool, I think that said this, right? And by the way, Tim Pool, ex-Democrat, but Tim Pool even said, right, at the end of the day, her ripping up the speech, it's way of signaling to the squad that she's with them. I'm with you now. You know, but whether she is or not, well, that's another thing that matters, I suppose. But yeah, it's Nancy losing power and making a stupid decision, but making a decision to show that she still has some sort of power. Truth is, she doesn't. She really, really doesn't, and she's losing it fast. But I don't know. What do you guys in chat think? What do you guys think in Twitch and on YouTube? What are your thoughts on people ripping up the speech? Did you like it? Dislike it? Let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section. Apart from that, yes, Ellen, even because of security after a lawsuit, it's disrespectful for the McGee Airmen, the children, the families of the military, and that have all hated that Rush Limbaugh got the Medal of Freedom. I don't care about Rush getting the Medal of Freedom too much. Like, at the end of the day, I was expecting it. It's all good. You know, I don't care either way if he got it or didn't get it. But you're right. Yeah, it's everybody that's mentioned in the speech that is disrespected because of that. If you have a problem with something that Trump has said, debate him about it. You don't go up and you don't rip the speech up in the air and toss it, rip it up and whatever, and make some great big grand gesture because of your derangement syndrome. And not only that, but we also know that she pre-ripped it. You know, she was pre-ripping it, I think it was back ages ago, actually. Was it during when Rush was getting his medal? I think it was, maybe. Before that even.
Thank you so much for being here with your beautiful daughter. Thank you for children, the city, the opportunity to achieve her for the those people. And thank you for at the beginning legislation crosses the guard. This is not support for Working Families Act as we support America's moms and dads. I was recently there. California saying
Trying to find where.
God and their mission.
Yeah, I can't find it. But yeah, she rips it somewhere back here. She rips it like literally halfway through the game. The game. Halfway through. I am smart and I support Trump, so what? No problem with that, John. Yeah, John says in the comments, yeah. Well, obviously the comments on the YouTube video. Alright, so apart from that, we'll finish up here. So I hate that she was so disrespectful. Tim Pool is pretty thoughtful for a young man. He's not that young, actually. Trump didn't see her hand, and didn't even shake Vice Pence's hand. I don't know, Ellen. I think he did see her hand. And you're right, he didn't shake Pence's hand either. Look, at the end of the day, she spent the better part of the 3 years trying to impeach him. So, at the end of the day, I don't think it really matters much about him not wanting to shake her hand and whatnot. I don't care about that sort of shit, to be honest. But I don't know. I think he might have seen the hand and just didn't shake it because he doesn't like her. But I don't know. I don't know. Do you really think he didn't shake? Do you really think he didn't see her hand? May have. I've seen a couple of angles. One of them makes it look like he did. One of them makes it look like he didn't. So I don't know. Alright, so salvage. Alright guys, so we're probably going to wrap it up here. So guys, obviously over on YouTube, this will be the end of the stream. For the guys on Twitch, we're going to keep going. But yeah, we're just going to go back to playing Imperium. So obviously if you guys on Twitch want to, on YouTube want to jump over to Twitch, I'll put a link in the description below. When I find a link. I don't even have my own Twitch view open at the moment. Oh, how dare I? That one. That one, yep. He was already turned to the side. Yeah, I've seen that angle. I don't know. Maybe he did see it slightly out of the corner of his eye, but he was already turned. I don't know. Like I said, I don't really care about him not wanting to shake her hand. Personally, I probably wouldn't shake her hand either. You know, she's been trying to impeach him for God knows how long now. Yeah, he did. He did seem to ignore her. So, yeah, that did, yeah. But, guys, yeah, guys on YouTube, let us know in your thoughts in the comments section. What are your thoughts about possibly doing the live streams on every Monday morning for me, or Monday night for me, Monday morning for you guys, or Sunday morning or something, but we're doing it on Twitch maybe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. We might go through and just watch one of these sort of videos every week and something and talk about it. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are. At least on Twitch you get notified when I go live. I don't know. Let me know. Just thinking you might get more notifications on Twitch. Let me know what your thoughts are. Apart from that, guys, obviously people on YouTube, this will be it for you. Apart from that, I hope everybody enjoyed it, had a great time. Oh, no worries. That's alright, Larry. It's all good, man. It's all good. Yeah. But apart from that, guys, enjoy yourselves. Have a great night. And obviously, there'll be a video up later tomorrow night for me. Or later tonight for me. But yeah, in about 18 hours or so. We've been doing the videos every day. It's been good. Getting back into the swing of it. Just doing the one video a day, though. So, yeah. Apart from that, guys, have a great night. Enjoy yourself, everybody. And Twitch, stay where you are. Because we're going to keep going. Have a great night, Joy. Bye.